Holy smokes, folks, it's raining cats and dogs. I'm your host, Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express, and thank you for joining us in our inaugural experience with creating a program that we truly believe can be a staple of sports media in Northeast Missouri. We hope that this fledgling episode is just as special for you as it is for us. In future episodes, I will not be wearing a shirt and tie, but for tonight's debut, it felt right. A small touch of formality, I believe, goes a long way for the premiere of a weekly show that I have no doubt can flourish. In the weeks, months, hopefully years to come, our aim is to make this weekly coaches show a bastion of unique insights regarding Truman State and Kirksville R3 athletics, stories and perspectives you won't find anywhere else, all in a concise hour-long package. As we begin to cement ourselves, who knows what types of guests we might bring along the way. In our format for now, you'll hear from four coaches who have graciously dedicated their time on Monday nights to elevate their athletes, speak on their philosophies, and more often than not, tell me why they won or lost last week. And as always, dear listener, this show is about you and for you. If you've got any ideas to help us make it hum, we're all ears. Tonight, it's only fitting that our guests are all four newcomers, all coaches brand new to their programs in the 2025-2006 year, three of which brand new to the community altogether. Each has faced their own challenges in transition, and tonight we'll hear how they're navigating the early chapters of their tenure. Our first guest this evening is Coach Aaron Coombs, new to the Kirksville High School basketball program. Coach Coombs, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. Very nice to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's been good to come to Kirksville and get started with the school year. We moved here at the end of May, and pretty easy move. We kind of hit the ground running. It felt like, my wife took the job at Truman State as the athletic director. And then I stayed behind with the girls to let them finish school. And then we moved up here. We had the summer to kind of get to meet people and get familiar with the town, the community. And so once school started in August, it was a seamless transition. Nothing but outstanding people that we've met so far, both at Truman and at Kirksville High School and in the community. So very fortunate to be here, excited that basketball is coming up, and we're ready to get started.
And as we were talking about a minute ago, talk a little bit about the program itself, not necessarily the X's and O's, but inheriting a program from a coach who had been there for the better part of, over a dozen years, I should say, and kind of walking into a circumstance that felt like a natural fit for you.
Yeah, well, I could spend the whole hour talking about the job that Coach Martin has done with his program. Just as soon as you walk in the locker room at the primary, it just screams tradition. It screams pride. And that's one thing, just talking to the players that Coach Martin did an unbelievable job of, is just creating a culture to be proud of, and you talk to people in town, they talk about the basketball program, they talk about all the athletics, but really, Coach Martin has just been a staple in this community. He's been very gracious with his time with me. I've had dinner with him. We've talked about, the team, the league, everything, X's and O's wise. He's just been very instrumental in making this transition easy. And so, I can't thank him enough for that.
And so this sounds like a job that you were enthusiastic about, not because you were necessarily just following your wife on her career path, but also it just felt organic and like a job that you wanted.
Absolutely. It's, again, what you guys will learn about our family and our time here is that we're very, very faith driven, and I'll never forget the call I had with Eric Hansen, who was our realtor at Century 21. And we were talking about a home, and he made the comment that I think it's funny that there's two basketball positions open in Kirksville, and there's a basketball coach moving to town. And I knew of one, obviously the Truman would be an open. And I said, two? And he said, yeah, the high school job is open. And I said, well, do you have the AD's number? And he passed that along. And so just an answer to prayer, God providing an opportunity to continue to coach. Again, I'm very proud of my wife and the job she's done in her career to elevate so quickly. She's worked very hard to get this opportunity to be an athletic director. And so it was a no-brainer to follow her and to come to Kirksville for her career, but for a door to be opened to be able to continue to coach, continue to be a head coach. It was definitely something that I wanted to jump at. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
Before we get to some more career-driven stuff, tell us a little bit about your family. Daughters, you said?
I have 2 daughters. We have 2 daughters. Adley is my 9-year-old who is, if you see her at any Truman or Kirksville event, I'm sure she'll be running around the gym, field, press box, wherever, acting like it's her second home. You know, it's been cool to watch her grow up in college athletics and just kind of, you know, she takes pride in wherever she is, you know. So as soon as we moved to Truman, everything had to be purple. And then as soon as I got the Kirksville job, everything had to be orange, you know, and she just radiates pride. And she's always around athletics. She's at that age where she's starting to play basketball, starting to play volleyball. And she's starting to not be my little girl anymore, man. She's growing up. And then my youngest daughter, Emery, is 5, and she's a mama's girl. Adley's is a daddy's girl. Emery is a mama's girl, you know, and she's really coming into her own the last year or so. She's much more reserved than Adley, but you know, just 2 perfect, beautiful little girls that we've been blessed with, and then, you know, so we're a family of 4, and we love it.
Very good, Coach. Moving on a little bit, tell us about your coaching tenure, your time as a player. How did everything kind of culminate and bring you to this point?
That's a good question. You know, I've always played basketball, going all the way back to 7th grade. That's about when I started. Hit a major growth spurt in high school. Entered high school 6 feet tall, exited high school at 6'10". So in that 4-year stretch, really shot up. Was very blessed to get a scholarship to play college basketball at UNC Wilmington. I always tell my players, you know, in the recruiting process, you know, go where it feels like home. Go where you're going to play. And Wilmington felt like home from day one. That's one of the decisions in my life that just stand out that I've never second guessed. I've never wondered what if, you know. We were really good. I chose them over Kansas State and Texas Tech. The day I committed to Wilmington, Bob Knight called at Texas Tech and offered me a scholarship, which was kind of ironic. But you know, Wilmington was great. Really, I got to move from Texas to North Carolina, so you know, I went away from home, which I think really helped in my maturing process and helped me become a better player. And then I was able to go play professionally for 6 years in China, Romania, and France, which again, just unbelievable opportunity. I was very blessed with, but let you see the world and really put me in a sink or swim environment that I've had to draw from several times in my coaching career. Just putting me in an environment that I was uncomfortable with. My first job was in France, and so not being able to speak the language at all. I had an interpreter my first year. They gave me a stick shift car, which I'd never driven before. So just kind of like, here you go, you know, and it took me forever to get out of first gear.
On the opposite side of the road, too.
Well, no, in France they do it on the right side.
That helps a little bit.
That did help. That might have been too much. But just really made me grow and put me in a, you know, in a situation where I had to, again, rely heavily on my faith, but also show me that I really wanted to do this, you know, and overcome some adversities early in my adult life, if you will. And then I had an opportunity to get into coaching at Northern Oklahoma in Tonkawa, Oklahoma. So it's a junior college. So I went there for 2 years, got an opportunity to move up to Division II at Missouri S&T in Rolla. That's where I met Signe. And we hit it off right away, at least on my end, maybe not hers. But, you know, we hit it off right away. And then I went to Missouri Western for 6 years, able to get a head coaching job after that at a school in Oklahoma. And then we moved to Georgia, and now we were there in Georgia for 6 years, and now we're here in Missouri. So, you know, basketball has been very good to me. It's taught me a lot. It's taken me to a lot of places in this world. You know, and again, it's something that I really treasure and enjoy, the game, but also the life lessons in the game. And I know a lot of sports can say that, but just for me personally, basketball has just really helped me in all facets of life. So I'm a diehard coach. I'm a diehard basketball guy, and I'm excited to bring my experience to the kids at Kirksville and continue to build relationships with young kids, young adults, and help them achieve their hopes and dreams as we go.
Very good, Coach. I look forward to once these football kids' season starts to wind down, I guess I should say, and you get time to get them in the gymnasium and you have a little bit better of an idea what you're working with. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Coach. That is Aaron Coombs, new head coach of the Kirksville High School boys basketball team. Now here with Austin Sykes, Kirksville head cross country coach. How are you doing this afternoon, Coach Sykes?
I'm doing great.
Coming off of a double dip conference championship, one that you would have to dive into the history books to see the last time, if ever, Kirksville had done such a thing. How does that feel?
It's pretty great. We really wanted it this year. Last year we went and kind of the girls lost it with some injuries and things, so we went into the season just that was our main goal. We really wanted to win conference. Didn't really know the boys were going to have it, and they actually ended up having more of a fight than what the girls did, but they came out on top and couldn't have had better results. So
pretty exciting when three of your girls finish was it four of your girls in the top five?
Yes, four of them.
And that's pretty remarkable. Concelia winning the thing by a landslide. It was over by the time she got to the 1.5 mile marker. And then talk a little bit about the three girls behind her that battled neck and neck to go 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, those girls, they're a tight pack. We have Carol Jamison, Claire, and Amber, and Mary and Rosemary, the other two girls on that team. But they kind of just changed places throughout the different meets. At conference the other day, they went out as a pack, the group of 4 or 5 of them there, and they just kind of hung together, and they made an amazing race. Mexico girl ended up getting in front of them, getting a second place, but they finished 3, 4, and 5 out there and just really sealed that conference win.
Talk a little bit on that side of things. Concelia, I know, was exceptionally hungry because she wasn't able to finish the race last year, and I know that she was disappointed, even though it was just her first ever year of running cross country. But to have that kind of leadership for her to turn it around and make a statement like she did last Saturday, how did that feel for not only her but also her teammates?
I think she felt great with it. She went out there. I mean, she is a phenomenal runner. I've been working with her every year. She's been running track and cross country, but she just went out there. I told her just to follow that, the side by side and stay in the race, stay confident and just do her thing. She really wanted this year because just last year she fell, got injured, like you said, and just got knocked out of that race. So she was really wanting to win it for the girls and just bring home that team title as well.
Realistically, going into Moberly's conference meet, in your opinion as a coach, what did you think your shots were at on the girls' side winning that thing?
I would say about 90% confident. I was pretty confident last year, but we went in kind of overshooting it. 2 of our girls went out on injury, or 1 and 2 last year, and so things can happen in sports. Girls get injured, girls fall down, or just the athletes in general. You never know what's going to happen in the middle of a competition, so you can't go in just thinking you're going to win it all every time, because you'll just be disappointed. You'll get down. So last year we took our 2 weeks off after conference, came back and had an amazing district. The girls team qualified for state. So this year we're coming on a high note out of conference, so we'll just see what we can do in this upcoming Saturday here. We got districts, so and see what they're capable of doing. But
moving on to the boys' side a little bit, I thought that you had strong races, not only from your finishers were 2nd, 6th, and 7th. Is that correct?
yes.
But behind them, your last 2 point getters did everything down the stretch to battle as well. Just talk all about the boys' race on Saturday.
It was a full team effort. Those boys fought the whole way. Or that Forrest, who ended up getting second, he PR'd by several seconds, broke that 17-minute barrier, got into the 16s. He went out just fighting because he knew that Hannibal boy that would finish in front of him was going to be a fight. I told him just to stay with him and see what he can do, and he sure did that. All the other boys stepped up right behind him. They went out as a good pack, those first 3, and the other boys kind of filed in right behind him. Our number 4 had an hip injury that week, so he was fighting the best he could. He kind of fell off a little bit there, but he did a phenomenal race for what he had, tied his PR. And our number 5, it was our last point scorer in that race. He's been a JV runner this season. I put him on as our last guy for this race, and he ended up beating our 5 and 6 normally on the team. He PR'd by over a minute in that race, and really he's the reason that we sealed that. I mean, our normal number 5, Ashton, he was right there behind him, so I think we would have had it either way, but just having that freshman step up and to those shoes and really run the race to the best of his ability helped seal that conference title. So.
And just looking at both teams a little bit, your girls are an exceptionally young team, and you have a lot to be excited about in the coming years. I believe your 3, 4, 5 finishers went sophomore, freshman, sophomore. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And so they have a lot to be excited about. And similar on the boys' side, how important is it for you as a coach to have huge senior leadership from both Forrest, Kaysen, and Concelia Concevico kind of to be a guiding hand for those younger kids?
Both of them are just amazing athletes. They push themselves every day, so you couldn't ask for more as a coach. Those kids, they all work hard. But those seniors, Concelia and Forrest, they really push themselves, and it helps bring all the other kids along with them. They see them as leaders. They see that if they're willing to push themselves every day at practice, every meet they go to, the others just fall in right behind them and try to keep up to the best of their ability.
Look a little bit ahead to the district meet. Kind of as a coach, how do you, we're late in the season. How do you keep legs fresh while at the same time still maintaining improvement over the course of the practices leading up?
A lot of it has to do with some thought ahead. Last year, what we were talking about with that conference injury and the girls kind of being injured, the whole team was a little bit down after that conference with not getting those titles when we thought we were going in. So we ended up canceling a late season meet, giving us 2 weeks leading up to districts. This year, I just thought ahead and I went ahead and canceled that meet to give us 2 full weeks leading up to districts. This last week, I did a lot of recovery with a couple hard days just to maintain in there. But that just gives us a lot of recovery leading up to districts. Then this week, we're hopping back on our 1 week schedule leading into districts, and we're going to give it everything we got this week and go and fight. So
I know the kids have high hopes. What are your hopes like, Coach?
They're high. The boys are ranked 1, like I was saying. The girls are ranked 3rd. Both have great potential to qualify for state of the team. There's several individuals ranked in the top 30 to be able to move on at an individual level as well. We have a rough spot in districts because we compete with all of these St. Louis schools. There's 16 teams in our districts. Hannibal's one of them. They're the next furthest away, but we have a 3.5 to 4 hour drive that morning to go down and compete in St. Louis area. So it's hard for us when the other schools have a 10-minute to 30-minute drive to compete, and they can practice on the course ahead of time, everything like that. So I try not to keep my kids' heads high. Like, we have to leave super early. We don't get to that extra practice, everything they have, but we're ranked to do well, and we're going to go give it our all. And
that is Hazelwood Central is the host. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Do you know anything about their course?
It is in a Sioux Falls park down there. It is a very, very difficult course. It's one of the 4 hardest courses in Missouri. They actually named the hills on the course Man Maker and Confidence Killer. So it is a rough course. My kids have been talking about it. They're working on just renaming those hills and stuff like that to give them some mental confidence going into it. But it'll be rough. But the thing I tell them is every kid's got to run those hills. Every athlete has to run them. You just got to beat them on the hills, because some people get beat down and let the hills get to them. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to get out there and give it our all.
And just one final thing before I let you go, Coach. Just talk a little bit about this group of kids from early to mid-August to now, just the development that you've seen, especially for a team that really had high hopes for themselves and achieving some of those hopes. Just talk about this group a little bit, hanging out with them every day.
Yeah, I like to say we're a family, a cross country family. That's what I started the season with, and we develop as a family as we go on. We do summer running, few kids in and out here, but as soon as that season starts, we just build great friendships together and work hard to just kind of build a family as we go on. Because you try harder for the people you care about, and when you care about your teammates and everyone on there, you're going to give it your all every time. So I think that's a very important part of being on that cross country team is just caring for each other. Therefore, you try for each other.
One last thing that I would be remiss not to ask. Not only was it just your boys and girls varsity teams taking conference titles, but also your middle school teams. And I know that you're a little bit less hands-on with them, but talk about that group a little bit.
They're great. Andy Kotwitz is the coach for them over at the middle school. There's a great group. It's great for me to see that potential coming up to high school in the years to come. Those kids work really great. I mean, we had that complete conference sweep of middle school and high school guys and girls. I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened before. I don't think it has. So it is just great to have that confidence going into the future years and even going to this postseason for the high school here, just doing that. I like to give a little credit to Alicia Wolmering. She helped set up the middle school cross country. We didn't have that. She helped get that going. Then she became the head cross country coach for the high school for a while. So she really got this whole thing going for everybody. I'm really glad I got to assistant coach her last year. And now I'm the head coach to keep this thing going because we want to build this program and really get our name out there for Kirksville in the cross country world.
Very good, Coach. I appreciate it. Head coach for Kirksville Cross Country, Austin Sykes. Thank you very much for your time this evening, sir.
Thank you.
We are joined by Truman State University cross country coach Tommy Whittaker. Coach Whittaker, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. The first thing I wanted to ask you is just kind of talk about walking into this role as head coach only moments before the school year began, kind of how that coaching search went, and just taking on this group of collegiate athletes and kind of the 11th hour, so to speak.
For sure. So I think I came up the Wednesday before everyone moved in. Accepted the role then, packed up my life in Indiana and moved here and moved in on a Sunday with first day on Monday. The search kind of was a few weeks prior to that with Coach Hardesty and Signey and some of the individuals on the roster making that decision. And, I'm excited to be here. It's a good group. It's a really responsible, hardworking group that has been really fun to coach this year.
Talk a little bit about your coaching upbringing and climbing through the ranks to become a collegiate cross-country coach in a journey that eventually brought you to Kirksville.
For sure. So I started out as a volunteer coach at Maryville University while I was finishing my doctorate in physical therapy at St. Louis University. And then continued there after I graduated. Went to McKendree University to get my master's in athletic training. So I became the GA, turned assistant, turned head coach there for 3 years, and then had the opportunity to start a program up at Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. So started a track and field program from the ground up there. And then just led me here with an opening here, which I was very excited for.
Very good. A little bit about your results at the conference meet. Talk to us a little bit about the conference meet. Good results for a really young Bulldogs women's team to finish in the top third at conference and then 10th for the men. Talk a little bit about both sides.
Yeah, so, we were led by a sophomore, Carmen, who did an amazing job for us, placing 21st, one spot off of that all-conference honor. The women, they placed fifth overall, and they did an amazing job to make sure that they were in that pack of 32 seconds within the first 7 runners. Was nothing to sneeze about. And we go on to regionals now, which is an exciting time with our top 7 intact and, hopefully seeing a better performance.
What does it mean on the women's side for your ladies to finish in such a tight bunch? I think that 5 of them finished between 21st and 31st or something like that, and they were just right there together. What does that speak to them?
They've been working hard, and that was one thing that we really focused on was pack running. And so, our main focus is making sure that we can all come together and race for each other. They think it's easier, and I do too, when you race with other people around you and especially your teammates. Now it's kind of time to let the wheel go off and get out a little bit quicker this time and see what happens for our regional race.
And look ahead to regionals. You head for Wisconsin on what day is that?
So we'll head up the Friday before. So November, gosh, is it November 7th or 8th? I can't remember, but it's 2 Fridays from now.
What do you anticipate from getting up there a little bit early, especially on a course that, if I'm correct, also hosts the national meet?
It does this year, yeah. So we've been to the course before, Truman State, and me as a coach at Breeders University. So, I'm excited to get back up there. It's a beautiful course, very wide open. It's got a little gradual hill. It's a little sneaky hill at the start. So it'll be interesting. We've been doing a lot of hill work this year to prep for it. But the kids are excited. The kids are ready. And we just kind of make sure they show up healthy and happy at the end of the day.
What goes into that part? What goes into, more so than the happy part, what goes into the healthy part?
Yeah. So, my background kind of helped me out with that, right? So I wouldn't say the training program's perfect. I don't think any training program is absolutely perfect. But, I think that one thing that we do well is we hit our hard days hard and we keep our easy days super easy. And I think the communication of why we're doing things with the student athletes have been really instrumental in making sure they believe and understand of what we're doing, which is half the battle.
As far as development, since what is ultimately still a very limited amount of time here since you've become the Truman head coach, I mean, as far as development, what have you seen out of both sides, out of your women and your men?
Yeah, I think just even going to conference, I think we saw 14 personal bests just at the conference meet, with most of the team throughout the season hitting personal bests in a variety of distances. I think it comes with a change of coaching, a change of, what we're doing and why we're doing it, and maybe them trying to, I don't know, impress the new coach. I'm not really sure. They needed to impress me. They were impressive from the jump. So I think their excitement with some just newer training. I think Coach Collin, who the previous coach was, did an amazing job of developing them. And so I got to do a little bit of the easy work and getting to get a little speed under them to make them a little faster. So I appreciate him for that.
Maybe this is looking a little bit too far ahead, but now that we're close to the end of the season, maybe this is something you haven't thought about yet, but what does a recruiting cycle look like for a distance running coach, especially in your first go around?
No, it's a great question. So yeah, I feel like I'm late to the game when it comes to recruiting already for the following year. So, we've started recruiting probably day one when I got here. So, I'm big on recruiting. I've signed big classes before. Like I said, I started a team at Purdue Northwest, my previous job, where I signed 70 individuals in the first year. And so I'm not afraid to go out and recruit. Something different here, though, is that I really want to recruit individuals that have the character, that have the well-driven character to be able to be successful at Truman State. It's a top academic school, and we have a lot of individuals that really thrive in that, with us being in the top 10% of Division II schools in cross country. And so when we're looking for individuals, we're looking for individuals that can kind of match that. But we have a great team that kind of shows them around, so it helps us out.
And to that point, the institution has been really strong the past number of years in producing academic All-Americans. And so I know that that's very significant to these kids. Do you have a pretty diverse group as far as what they study, what their interests are, just all across campus?
I believe so. We have a good variety of individuals with different majors. I would say there is a big chunk of individuals on our team that are either exercise science or business, to be honest with you. But we also have individuals that are Spanish majors. We have English majors. We have teaching. We have nursing. So a variety of individuals that are all very doable here at Truman State with our schedule of practices and everything like that. Basically, you can be successful at anything and still run cross country here, which is awesome.
Very good, Coach. What are some realistic expectations for hopefully your multiple trips to Wisconsin?
Yes. So obviously we want to try to be top 5 in the region. I know that might be a tough thing with us getting fit that conference. I do believe, however, that if we execute properly, that we can still be a top 5 team. And with the top 5 team, you never know what'll happen. So many get into the meet based on the regional rankings, and then there's at-large bids. So, we're excited to see what we can do. We're going to go out a little bit quicker, and we're going to hopefully have some really strong banger performances.
Very good. This is head coach Tommy Whittaker with Truman State University Cross Country. We appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Joined now by new Truman State University men's head basketball coach, Mike Worley. Coach Worley, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. First and foremost, talk a little bit about what your time has been like so far in Kirksville.
Well, my family and I, we've really enjoyed it. I think the upper Midwest feel sits well with me. I grew up in Colorado. My wife grew up in eastern Oklahoma. So, moving from South Alabama back to closer to my family, closer to hers has been refreshing. My kids were ready for a move. We'd been in Troy, Alabama 12 years. So it's been good.
You'd spoken a little bit when we had talked a handful of months ago about one of the biggest attractions of this job was the academic rigor and that side of things, and that degree of discipline. Talk a little bit about what made this job appealing given your background and kind of your resume for Truman to be the job for you.
Sure. Well, I left high school and was a valedictorian there. I was a student athlete of the year at Coffeyville, so academics were important to me. And was at Creighton and played there, went to the University of Denver and finished a graduate degree there as well. So academics are a big part of who I've been, and high achievement and rigor. Like you said, this fits my personality. We attract the type of kid that needs to be a really good basketball player, but also has to be prepared to do real academic work. And so through the process of recruiting with our staff, I've mentioned to them that if you don't get the vibe right away that they care about a degree or a parent doesn't value a degree, then Truman's probably not the place for them, because you need to start where we're located, right in the Pickler Library. And there's a lot of students in here, as we that are in here tonight know. There's probably 200-300 kids I've already seen, so they care about being in books in Kirksville at Truman State University, and the kind of kids we're going to attract will want to be good academic kids too.
And on the basketball side of things, one thing that you've said before that I really like is, and I think this applies to more than just basketball, is we'll let our offense go as fast as our defense allows.
Yes.
Talk about that philosophy a little bit.
Yeah. Our offense will go as fast as we're prepared to play defensively, because if you get stops, you guard in the right way, you can rebound the ball effectively. I give guys more freedom offensively to play, take a good wide open shot, move the ball into a dribble handoff where you get an open three look. I'm less, I don't know if surgical is the word, but I'm less picky on the offensive end with regard to their decision making than I am on the defensive end. If you've done your work defensively, if you haven't done your work defensively, then obviously we've got to run some things offensively that'll put us back in the ball game. But yeah, our hat is hung on the defensive end of the floor, and we allow them to play faster offensively if we're doing that.
I like that a lot. I think there's a metaphor there that extends well beyond basketball itself. Talk to me a little bit about your time at Troy, your time down south, and some of those philosophies that maybe will carry over. You had mentioned in the past that, like you're talking about turning defense into offense is something that the Bulldogs have done well over the course of the past 6-7 seasons that you've looked at on film, and how you can kind of synthesize some of those philosophies.
Yeah, we at Troy, we were a defensive focused team. So a lot of my blueprint, a lot of my template is what you and I have spoken about previously with regard to, gritty defense, keeping the ball on one side, trying to make sure that we wall up and meet the new rules of the game. You take less charges in basketball now that I know you're a basketball fan. They don't call them as often. So we've had to adapt and learn to be a vertical team defensively. But I take a lot of those strategies and ideas from my 12 years at Troy, and our guys have really adapted well to that here.
And do you think you had made several national tournament appearances at the Division I level? Is that correct?
Correct.
Playing at sort of I don't want to say smaller scale, but in the grand scheme of things, the Division II game is a little bit different. What changes in that regard?
Well, that's a good question. I think that you may sacrifice some athleticism for more skill in some areas, because at the Division I level, if a 5-position guy, which would be a center or a wing, is 6'4", 6'5", you may be looking for that template initially in that prototype, but you may sacrifice some offensive, acuity, ability to shoot, ability to pass, to think the game. And so a lot of guys that don't fit the template of the model physically at the Division I level end up in Division II basketball, but they're higher IQ. The ball moves more crisp. It's more free flowing. And so that game fits the way I want to coach and the way I want to play. When I was playing at Coffeyville Community College and at Creighton and then at Denver, those are the kind of ways we wanted to play. And so you'll see offensively, we we follow a Michigan template when John Beeline was the coach, and we try to pass and move. We're not always ball screen oriented. And our guys have really found that a fun way to set up a back cut or a back door, a circle cut and be open at the rim. We've spread out and played 5 out a lot, where there's a lot of actions we can get into that help us, maximize our offensive effectiveness. So defense is what I learned at Troy. We're going to do that here, but then we're going to flow into an offensive efficiency that, hopefully is useful. They were good. Coach Horner's teams were good offensively, and we hope to be as well.
And you walked into a tough spot for any coach as far as just sheer numbers. We joked a handful of months ago, you might have to recruit me. I might have to come out.
Do you have eligibility?
I have eligibility. Don't you worry about that.
So does Jacob. So that's 2. We need 3 more. There we go in here.
Kind of weigh the challenges and everything that goes into that recruiting trail. I know that you had to double dip one weekend, both St. Louis and Kansas City. Everything that goes into that, and it's something that you well understood when you accepted the job at this program. But what goes into that?
Man, that's a good point. There's been a lot of nights where you get back late, and you said it. I started in St. Louis one day and ended at Kansas City. It's a lot of weekends. It's a lot of weekday nights where you're out a lot. You're away from your family some. It's, 7:30, 7:47 a night. So, but it's a sacrifice you make because it's a labor of love too, so there can be some flexibility in other areas, times of the year, but there is a lot of hours involved in recruiting the correct way, finding guys who can fit what you want to do. And, I found the upper Midwest in the basketball community, grassroots wise and AAU wise to be very, high IQ, very efficient. Basketball is well respected, especially you and I have talked. This town likes basketball. So not that Troy didn't like basketball, and we discussed that too. Like, it's just the South is tremendously saturated football wise. Like, until bowl games are over in the South, until that Iron Bowl happens with Auburn and Alabama, there's not thinking about much of anything else they really want to watch. And so here it's a little different. They like the hoops.
It's very true. And that will work in your favor when you see the first handful of turnouts at Pershing Arena, I believe.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of which, as we get closer and closer to the season beginning, look ahead a little bit to some of the early season tournaments and non-conference games that you guys will kick off the year with.
Yes, we're going over to Quincy, and we'll play in what's called a Division II crossover matchup with Findlay and Cedarville, which are in a Northern League, Division II league, and they're very good. Findlay's been very good. They're well resourced. The football team's really good. I think they're in the top 6 to 8. I saw Jacob may know better, but Findlay football's been good. Cedarville's been good. They're in the upper 4 or 5 of their league. So we'll start there. We'll come back for a Meet the Bulldogs night, which I think is on the 19th. Is that correct, Jacob? So the 19th of November is some free food, some games. I know he's working on that. I know our AD, Signe Coombs, is working hard on that. So very thankful to them to put together some games and food and invite people out to meet the Bulldogs, meet myself. It's going to be a great kickoff night against Calvary Bible here in town. They're from Kansas City. And that'll be a chance for me to meet some new people, too, like you said, that I have not seen in Pershing Arena. And we've got, a number of games throughout the rest of the non-conference season that are a couple of, league games with Drury and Rockhurst. But then we also play Missouri Western and MIAA home-and-home matchup that comes back here December 20th. And we go to Northeastern State, which is a return game in Oklahoma. They came here last year. Play Purdue Northwest twice, so we'll play them up there and play them here as well. We're both first-year head coaches, so we thought that's a fair toss-up, right? If you both play home and home in the same year since your first year. But I'm excited. It's the town's been great, the community's been wonderful, and I'm excited to kick it off.
Talk a little bit about your group, about the 5 that you will be, not necessarily the 5, however deep you're going to roll when opening night comes around. Talk a little bit about these guys and the work that they've put in and kind of buying into your philosophy and everything that's gone into that since your time on campus began.
Yeah, thank you. Deep wise, we've got 10 to 12 guys that can play significant minutes for us. Let's say 11, 12 that are battling for minutes. They're doing it every day. So you'd have a 2 deep roster, there with 2.5 at 2 or 3 other positions that will play. And they did in the scrimmage. We scrimmaged Pittsburgh State out of Kansas Saturday down in Sedalia. And we'll scrimmage Washburn in about 10 to 12 days. And Washburn was, in the Final Four, I think. So I said to the Pitt State coach, I said, "Hey, we're scrimmaging." He said, "Who else you scrimmaging?" I said, "Washburn." He said, "Well, good luck with that." So that made me feel good that I had scheduled the right people. But that's what you're trying to do in the scrimmages is get nicked up, get beat up a little bit, see some new schemes, so that when you do roll out against Findlay, you give yourself the best chance to win. But we'll play 10, 11, 12 guys because as hard as we want to play defensively, and I've discussed this, like at Troy, we'd play 10 or 12 just because sometimes you get in foul trouble as physical as you want to be. Sometimes hawking the ball, you've got guys that are just 90 feet, 85 feet worn out as hard as you got to play to try to do it right. So we'll run a lot of guys in and out of there. And the ones that are efficient on that end will play more minutes than the others.
One area that the Dogs have struggled in the past year, in the past handful of years, and I believe that Washburn is a great idea. They have trees, man. They have size. They have some unbelievable length. And that has been a trouble for the Dogs to match up against in the past 3 to 4 years. That's where the Bulldogs have found themselves in trouble. What do you say in that regard?
As far as size?
Yeah.
So, well, Emmanuel Bird's back, the kid that transferred actually from Washburn. He's 6'10". He has really lost 35 pounds. And Quentin McCafferty, who's on our roster, lost almost 22. So we have really slimmed down our fives. Now, they're still 6'10" and still, look the part. But they're big enough to match maybe Missouri S&T's 5 men that play around the center role there. And certainly Washburn in a scrimmage, which is closed, so there won't be fans there. But it'll be a good chance for us to find out what it's like to play against, like you said, trees. And there's a couple teams in the league. Obviously, Missouri St. Louis, UMSL had bigger guys last year. I think they've lost a few of those cats. So, but you do need them in the GLVC, and you need them in Division II basketball. You need a few. And our two, I think, are very skilled and also have gotten their bodies in shape. Basketball's such an up and down sport that they've done a good job of getting the conditioning they need to play.
And have you gotten a very good look at the conference yet as far as film? And if so, kind of what do you anticipate the Dogs will need to do to make a push, especially when we get into late January, early February, to be a top, on the top half of that, on the top half of that grid?
Yes, I've been able to look at some of it. I haven't, the turnover, what's unique with the portal these days is that so many teams, just like us losing Kobe Williams and Xavier, that one went to Indiana State, Zay went there, and Kobe went to Missouri State. The better players throughout the league, including Tree at UMSL, a couple from Missouri S&T, they've all left. So, it's happening in every league in America. It happened in the Sun Belt. We had a kid go to Indiana, a kid go to West Virginia, a kid go to Tulsa. So, your best players leave and move one step up. So what you have is a bunch of new rosters at all these programs, from UMSL to Drury to Lewis, and you really don't know how they'll gel together till they roll out against somebody and you can get it on videotape. A lot of these scrimmages are closed, quote unquote. We don't allow the tape out. We agreed with Pitt State that you don't share the tape. We won't share their tape. So, there's ways guys try to get that tape. It's like gold, right? It's valuable, but the ones that are being honest and transparent don't share the tape. So these first 2, 3, 4 games, it's hard to really get a vibe on what some of these teams look like, including the Findlays of the world, because a lot of them have 10, 11 new players. So,
Coach Mike Worley, we appreciate your time. Anything else you have on the mind?
Man, just thank you guys for the podcast. It has a real innovative vibe to it. And Jacob's done a good job at Truman, jumping right in. You've done a great job in the community. It's obviously a wave of the future with podcasts. And I listened to a couple. I was just talking to Coach Coombs, a couple of basketball-related podcasts I'm driving down the road, which has made it unique to kind of just tune into what you want to hear. And this is something we hope people in the Kirksville community and the surrounding area want to hear. So I appreciate you having me on.
Coach Mike Worley, first year Truman State University head men's basketball coach. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yep.